So I don't know about you, but it took a very long time for me to feel adequate in my neurodivergent body. And Helen is one of those characters that I really connected with, being AuDHD, right? She's there to elucidate this sort of inadequacy that I very much felt when younger, but couldn't quite name. And, I'm not super old just yet, but getting older as a neurodivergent person has definitely been a learning process. Being neurodiverse often comes with a lot of trauma. And I remember that before I got any kind of diagnosis, all I had was suspicions. And it was maddening in a way because, I shared them with people and it was like no one could see what I was seeing. It's like there's no evidence of any of it surrounding you. So it's very difficult to fathom any of it being true. And it does really feel like you're going crazy because you're making connections that perhaps aren't there. Meanwhile, your life is falling apart in a sense because the usual stresses are still there. You can't focus, you're burned out, socially lost, plus you're trying to figure something out that perhaps isn't even something. So there's so much cognitive dissonance. And if you push through it, and which perhaps is not something that you're quite used to doing, and something that people might be advising against because what they see is someone on the brink of neurosis. But if you do, and you push through it and you get some validation or a diagnosis, for the first time it feels like you're not going crazy, that you're different, but not in the way that they thought, in the way that you thought. And when I was writing Helen, I realized that this experience wasn't necessarily just tied to neurodiversity, but to the trauma that often follows it. And so I don't really say that she has, ADHD or dyspraxia because I know that someone with BPD or depression can relate just as well to this dissonance happening in her life.
It is a very difficult thing to fathom being adequate when no evidence of it surrounds you. In earnest, one can only find such evidence by looking within.
Once I had the diagnosis, I had some ground to stand on. But before I could begin healing, I had to reckon with what I had done to myself. Now, I'm not saying that my trauma was my fault. It most definitely wasn't. But I realized that instead of giving me shame, the world taught me to feel ashamed of myself. So it wasn't that the world hurt me, it was that it taught me to allow hurt and think myself deserving of it. My trauma is not my fault, but healing is certainly my responsibility because no one else can do it.
When looking within, Helen had to reckon with the reality that by attempting to fix herself, she broke her only ways to navigate and understand the world. The biggest tragedy had been believing that the world had power over her. It was only by convincement that the world could reach within. And it came a time when Helen stopped being convinced of her wrongness and gave herself the license to heal.
So what does healing look like then? I think our first instinct is to go for big gestures like take ourselves out on a date, buy that thing that we never thought we deserved, or explore an interest that we once felt ashamed of. And these are good, but they are practice because the body will cringe before it learns to love itself. And, as you keep these habits alive, one day you wake up and you don't need to take yourself out on a date anymore because something really intimate and quiet happens. You accept that you deserve the kindness and the love that you've been practicing every day. And suddenly, you don't need big gestures because you know you give yourself what you need when you need it, because you know that you won't gatekeep love from yourself anymore.
Despite all her efforts to heal and accept herself, there was one thing she had never been able to change. You see, living life her way was often an unintended act of defiance. It was seldom her intention to go against the grain, but more often than not, there was the consequence of her just being herself. It always felt like she was going up a hill while everyone else was going down it, and yet trying to do things like everyone else was exhausting all the same, just in a more painful way. It seemed impossible to simply live.
And I thought that was it. I thought that was the lesson, but apparently there is more. Because now I've swapped the ADHD meds for SSRIs, and I find myself deeply tired. I burn out every couple months, then every couple weeks, then every couple days. And I wonder if one day I'll just burn out. But burnout is teaching me a different kind of acceptance, to be happy with the very little I can offer at the moment. Perhaps the best I can do for now is a C+. But the very real worry is if that's just the best I can do forever. I don't mean to say I'll never get better. What I mean is, can I accept the limitations of my nervous system long term? Let's say that that's how it is now, that's the new normal. Could I be okay with it for as long as I need to be? Because even though I've healed a great deal and I don't push myself to do things in ways that are not good for me anymore, that also means that I can't accomplish as much as I used to, and I don't think that is coming back. Writing Helen was an exercise in thinking through this problem. And of course, in the story, I make the world go upside down and the world becomes more compatible with her and less compatible with others. But I'm actually considering that the solution might be as simple as that. Perhaps I should be looking into changing the rules and building something new, something different. Accepting my limitations doesn't need to mean resigning myself to them. It could instead mean the first step into a new journey, new routine, a new life. And it makes me wonder, what kind of life could that be?
In this moment of pause, Helen truly and mindfully took the weights off her shoulders one by one and soaked in a unique peace she once believed impossible to be hers. And when she did stand up, it was to begin again, to begin anew,